So I'm here on a lovely July day, first one in a while, and I'm here at Curtly Farm with Derek Gow, who is the man helping us do our beaver release over at Mapperton, and we're just here on his farm. Is that
That's
right.
What
you call it? Yeah. In order to look at some of the amazing species he has here for introduction around the world, and the first of which is just behind us here.
These are a breed of cattle. They're called Heck cattle, and they were made by two brothers, Heinz and Lutz Heck, between the First and Second World War, and they wanted to be able to go back into their forests and hunt these animals.
Yeah.
And they also wanted to show that through this selective breeding they could establish animals again that were extinct.
And so why are they here?
Why are
what
they
are they
here?
doing over here?
Well, that's a jolly good question,
yes.
Nesta. And there are times when I ask myself that same question, because an organisation called the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust wanted to have these animals for a project at Slimbridge at their centre there approximately 15 years ago. And there were none of them in Britain, and they asked me to import them from Belgium and from Holland, and I did that. And then halfway through the quarantine period, which follows import, they came down to look at them, realised how difficult they were going to be, and decided they didn't want them at all. So I've had them here on my farm for about 15 years,
Right.
simply because there wasn't anywhere else for them to go.
So we've just moved from the Heck cattle over there, and we've now met a few more friends on the farm. Could you tell me what these cows over here are?
Okay, so these are Asiatic water buffalo. You can tell by their horn shape they're probably a Romanian breed. And though water buffalo were used in Britain in the past, and it is very likely that there were feral herds of water buffalo in places like Devon and Cornwall in the 12th and 13th century, those were not animals that had been here since the last ice age.
Yeah.
They were animals that would have been brought here by people, you know, as draft animals to plough, whatever else, plough in wetlands maybe, and then they would have run feral and established themselves for a time. But the point of these, as far as we're concerned, is when again we're starting to talk about changing landscapes, something like this as a field is beginning to become unflat and raggedy, and you can see digging in pits and everything else, which of course the boar over there are providing. But we don't have a big animal in our complement of wild animals that you can turn out into something like this, and it's going to take its hooves and its horns and start to dig down into the ground like a gigantic mole to make more ponds.
And so how does managing these cattle compare to the Heck cattle?
These are no problem. I mean, these literally, if you come out with a bucket of feed and you just go around a quad bike and rattle it, they'll follow you right back down at the farm. No problem, none at all. What we're going to do is, some animals like this that are very big, because this is still a relatively small farm, it's 150 acres in this area, is that these guys will be here for maybe 6 months or a year, and then what we're going to do is we're going to talk to other people like you and say, Nesta, would you like to borrow the water buffalo for your farm, so you can then have something that's wallowing and creating ponds on your estate. We do the TB test, you agree that you're going to feed them through the next winter, and then we speak to the next person. So for those of us who are going to do this, where we can, we try and work together, and we'll achieve a lot more quickly if we do that, rather than if we just try to do everything on our own.
I see.
Right, Nessa, so I'm going to introduce you to a very tame wild boar. This one's an old one, it's 12 years old. When I say it's a wild boar, it's actually a Tamworth cross boar, but you can see it's quite dark and hairy, so it looks more like a boar than a pig. And he's a lovely animal, very steady, very tame.
Yeah. Oh. And so even when he was younger, was he also this tame?
Yeah, he's always been really great. He's always been very, very used to people and very quiet and very calm. When they open up these banks and they have wallows, you get a lot of mud. You get things like house martins coming down to use the mud for the nest. You get things like potter wasps using the disturbed mud for their nests.
I've heard that they're able to root up to 60 acres a year. However, here it doesn't look like that's quite happened. Why is it so different here then?
I was really worried about that because Charlie Burrell's been here, he's looked at it, he told me the same. And we're looking at 150 acres. So if you look at that, think, that's 1 boar, 2 boar maximum. And in here, there are 5 adults and 14 piglets. We are on the west coast. it rains here. We have a lot of established pasture and the grass grows well. Those 5 boar in this, yes, they can turn a lot of it over in the winter time, but it all recovers really quickly by the time you get to late spring, early summer. And we are going to have to go and rescue our truck now before those buffaloes start to rub their horns up and down.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting this important part of England's heritage by becoming a patron at mappertonlive.com.
Do you breed the beavers here, or are they imported from elsewhere, or how does it work?
Well, we do breed some beavers here, but not enough to supply many projects. So out on the farm there are big enclosures and there are baby beavers in the enclosures. But the beavers that come to Mapperton will come from the Tay. They will come under licence from Scottish Natural Heritage. They will be beavers that were otherwise shot if they didn't come to you.
Right. All right.
There's a beaver.
And is this one an adult yet?
That's an adult, yeah. That's a big one. I mean, there's the baby beavers are about that size, and they're like corks. Okay, so if you had a baby beaver floating there, it'd be floating there in the same way that the apple's floating, be light, buoyant, very up in the water. Whereas these things, when they're big, get really heavy. All you can see is their head, and they're kind of like big furry hippos.
This is the first beaver I've seen. It's very exciting. They are incredible animals.
40 kilos is about a really big one.
Oh, right.
Normally it's kind of like 18 to 22 kilos.
Right.
But for a rodent, that's still a big rodent. That's as heavy as like a Labrador or a roe deer. So, it's a big rodent.
Yeah. I mean, they're just incredible. I was so excited to be walking through Maplin and just perhaps see some chippings from a tree, or a tree that's just been completely knocked over, chopped down. So it's the lynx.
There's lynx in here, and they're going to be in a very small pen, shut away for the night, because this is a sheep farming country, and we don't want anybody going over the fence in the evening.
Yeah. Wow. They are incredible. So these would take down a small roe? They take
down roebuck. But they're forest animals, and if you have, big areas of forest like Kielder, west coast of Scotland, but maybe increasingly the lands that we know as we start to plant more trees and we allow more scrub to regenerate, that's the environment where plenty of sheep, plenty of lagomorphs like rabbits and hares, these guys are going to occupy and hunt. And that's a hooting lynx.
So it's hooting because
it's a female, and the guy guaranteed us it was 3 females. What do you see hanging off the back of those 2 in front of you? Yeah. Exactly. So Nestor, there's a good zoo story for you. Is
always check the gonads.
Yeah, never accept anything that comes in a closed box.
So we've just walked down through some amazingly wild woodlands, and we found a bit of a clearing, and I've just been told that is all the work of the beavers. So you can see a dam behind me here, and we're just discussing the impact on the environment here. So you could tell us a bit more about it.
Well, the impact on the environment is, of course, 1, it's sunny, but 2, hey, it's very wet, and one of us fell into it. And but the point of this is that this is a beaver dam here. We'll go around the other side and have a look at the height of it in a minute. But what the beavers have been doing in the sunny areas is they have been sculpting the trees. So that tree there is a multi-stemmed willow. So they've been able to go in with their heads, and because they bite with 2 incisors on the top jaw, 2 incisors on the bottom jaw, they make these kind of scallop shapes, like an ice cream scoop going through ice cream. And in the end, this all comes down. But with these multi-stemmed willow, what's very interesting is that the ones in the middle are they're surrounded by such complexity of other difficult bits that the beavers can't get in to fell the one in the middle. Yeah. And when you see those ones there, those ones with the bramble round them, have just meant it's impossible for the beaver to do anything about them.
I see.
So it's in the initial stages when a beaver goes into the woodland, it's very easy to get the trees you want and to fell them.
Yeah.
When the vegetation changes and you have thorn mantling the bottom of the trees, then you're forced out again.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of like game of cat and mouse with the trees. Basically, these were the old Victorian drainage ditches. And what the beavers have done by blocking it is they put the water back off to one side when you have a lot of rain, that forms other streams, and the further you go down the valley, the more and more dams there are.
And so how big was this sort of stream here originally?
I'll show you. Come and have a look. It's round the corner here. So this is the original stream, Nesta. Don't fall backwards into it. Yes. But in the summertime, these things in Devon are called Devon gutters. And what happens is that in the winter time, when you have heavy rainfall on the land, they rage. So you have a wall of water scouring down until it hits the first obstacle, which at the bottom of this, about 2.5 miles away from here, is a bridge above the village, and then it comes right across the road and it floods the road.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it stops raining, there is no water at all. So if you were here before the beavers started, you would just have bedrock and nothing. And now, you know, even when we look down here, can you see all the water boatmen?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
In the water, there are fish here, there are tadpoles here, there are coot, there are moorhen, there are grey wagtails. Because what the beavers have done is they have turned this back into a series of ponds and impoundments. So there is water, huge amount of water here that would never have been here before. So we had a look at a lot of the landscapes in Mapperton, and we think that overall your river corridor is entirely suitable. But there's one particular area which is a big kind of, it's almost like the bottom of a boat. You know, it kind of like, it's not sharp, it curves in from the sides. It's got this kind of like big bowl in the bottom. It's maybe about half a mile, a third of a mile long. There's a lot of willow. The stream weaves and winds through it. And there's huge, and you can see underneath the trees there, the beginnings of the vegetation like greater tussock sedge and flag iris, and all the aquatic plants are there. So that when the beavers go in there and they start to fell the trees and they open the hole to sunlight, that what will happen is that you'll have the most amazing warm marsh developing. It will have grass snakes in it, coot, moorhen, little grebes, kingfishers, all manner of other life will coagulate there, especially as the amphibians and the insects start to reform. We think that is the very best place for the beavers at Mapperton.
Yeah. Other than this area just being an amazing place to just come here and just watch wildlife, is there any other reason why you've converted this farm into this just amazing landscape?
Well, Nesta, the thing is, at your age in life, you never appreciate lives are very short. And what I found increasingly was that I never had any time to come down into here when I was farming because I was just too busy. I'd be sorting sheep's feet, or there would always be a better thing to do. And then on the odd occasion you came down and you saw the damselflies and the small coppers and the common blues and all the things that there just weren't in the farmland. It was the bit that you really enjoyed in your week or your month or whatever else. It's the bit you can still remember. And you began to realise that really, in a landscape where everybody else is farming and where the only thing that keeps the farming going are the state subsidies anyway, why am I doing exactly the same as everybody else to produce a landscape that is largely dead?
This country. Now I'm getting stung by gorse. They're literally living inside of my boots. Oh, ow.
There's lots of insects ready to get you as well.
Okay, ow. Hold on. Okay, ow. 1 second. Sorry, it's just quite bad.
This is not a very elegant entry.
No, I'm super sorry here. Sorry. Let me get that one out. Okay, sorry. Okay, I couldn't step on it.
Anyway, Julie, this is Rob Bowditch.
Hi, Rob. Hello. I'm sorry that's how you had to meet me for the first
Rob
time.
has been doing bits of work on the estate for how many years, Rob?
Oh, 8 years probably.
8 years, like yeah. And he does hedges
and gorse.
Tree work.
Clearance, yeah.
Clearance, yeah.
Because you can't put a lawnmower to this, can you?
Well, we're not talking about, yeah, so
right?
Today, he's doing something completely different. So what we are is we're in a field. It's a field we've seen before on the programme, and it's we call it the lime kiln field because the lime kiln is up over in that corner. That's where you and I had a lovely cup of tea not that long ago. And it's an important field because it's known as species-rich grassland, which means that it's got lots of varieties of grasses and herbs.
Right.
And you want to maintain that richness, but you can't do that if you have too much scrub. And if you have too much gorse and bramble and the sorts of things that you can see going up here. But
Yeah.
traditionally, in order to clear this, what would we have done, Rob?
Years ago, we would cut with a chainsaw.
Chainsaw,
Yeah.
what, man
Yeah.
with a chainsaw burning it. But anyway, today we don't do it with that because we have a robot, or at least Rob has a robot. Rob, tell us about your robot.
It's basically a remote-controlled tractor, 56 horsepower,
Yeah,
with a small mulching flail on the front.
yeah. So it's got sort of teeth at the front
Uh-huh.
and a big powerful engine,
Yeah,
and it just heads off and eats everything.
yeah, just with my.
And you
Oh,
sit
you
there.
do it with that. You don't
Like a
even
remote
sit on
control.
that.
No.
You don't sit on it?
No.
It's like a remote control.
It's remote control.
So it's like a robot.
And I think if you're a young child and you're interested in farming today, there's probably
Yeah.
nothing, and you've got like a little remote control car, and thinking about the future,
That's
your
super
job
fun.
is kind of what you'd want because it looks quite fun.
It does look quite fun. It looks complicated.
Rob, do you want to give us a demo?
Just stay back from the front.
Oh, yeah.
Stay back. Okay.
I'm going to stay back. Okay. This is like spiky. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Oh my
It's
gosh.
a kind of eagle thing.
That's like a,
Just eats everything in its way.
it reminds me
I
of
tell you what,
something.
I think we should get one of those for the front lawn for Steve, because we would get things done much more quickly.
No, I don't
We wouldn't
think
need to sit on it.
It's like a monster.
It is
Literally like a monster. Look at that. It's crazy. I mean, that is nuts. That is literally, like, I would be terrified of that if I saw that. It's like one of those bad Transformers. You know, from the Transformer movie? It's like a baddie right there. Oh my, it's like, and it almost has those, like across, it looks like evil eyes.
Yeah.
Like
it might suddenly turn and come to
That's
us.
crazy.
Look at the tail.
Let's go and have a look. Yeah.
Okay, it's like Pac-Man. That's what it reminds me of. The game Pac-Man. It's like up and down, although this doesn't have much of a maze.
So this is a flail, and these are essentially
This is a flail.
pieces of steel swinging round, sharp steel, and very occasionally it breaks down,
Very occasionally, yeah.
like this morning.
This morning we had some bearings. Yes, yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Okay, fantastic.
I think we should let you get on, Rob. Even though it's so quick. I mean, you've been here what 3 hours or something, and you've done about half of it already.
All right, well, great. I've never seen one of these. And I learned about spiky gorse today.
So Tom, where have you taken us?
I can't remember the name of the field. Can you remember the name of the field?
Now you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
But this is a field that's a little bit unusual, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like your others.
No.
It's much richer
In species, yes.
in species, if not in productivity.
Yeah, not great for productivity.
Not great for productivity,
No.
but great for wildlife, great for biodiversity,
Yeah.
but you're making use of it.
Yes, rather than saying this is a rubbish field, it's not very commercially productive, rather than trying to change this field,
Yeah.
let's change what we're doing and see if we can find a way to make this field work for us.
Yeah. Get the field to work for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the plan then?
Do you want to go and see what we've got in here?
Let's go have a look. You know what? There's some friendly looking Frisians there,
Yeah.
but one's got horns.
One's got horns.
So you go first.
Okay, thanks.
In traditional Montague fashion. Why does one have horns?
So if you look at that one under its tummy,
Yeah.
it's got a hernia.
It's got a hernia.
Yeah.
Right.
So a break in its muscle. Because of her hernia, we've been advised not to breed from her.
I have a feeling that the future doesn't bode well for that heifer.
I think she's having a lovely time.
She is now.
Yeah, she is
But
now.
how long?
What conventionally would have happened to her is because she didn't really fit with what we would have wanted to do with her,
Yeah.
we would have sold her at that age
Right.
of 3 months
Yeah.
and she would have gone somewhere else to be reared.
Yeah.
But with this ground as it is, I think it's going to make some really good beef.
Yeah.
But rather than going and buying beef animals,
Yeah.
we thought, well, we've got animals, we'll just keep them.
You've got them anyway.
We've got them anyway, and we're not limited by cow spaces, they're just in a field.
And how does a Frisian taste? And importantly, how does it sell? relative to an Angus?
I've no idea.
Okay. So you're gonna turn up at a butcher and you're gonna say
No, I'm just going to sell it.
sell it direct
Sell it direct.
to the Mapperton Cafe, Coach
Well,
House,
yeah, the coach
Local
house,
restaurants?
the local restaurants, the public.
and we're gonna put Frisian beef burger.
Yeah, or just local beef.
Local beef doesn't matter, does it?
It's-
So from a breed perspective, you wouldn't normally mix them, but here it doesn't matter because it's all beef.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so 1419,
Yeah,
she was not a good dairy cow.
yeah.
She produced no milk.
If a cow isn't giving you enough milk,
Mm.
you can say you're just not up to it. Come and join the
beef
herb
herd.
here,
Yeah.
where you'll get to eat delicious species-rich grassland. Bit of bracken,
Bit of bracken, bit of gorse.
so browsing,
Browsing,
not just grazing.
not just grazing.
Yeah, and in
They've
fact,
got all
there
the
are some
time in
quite
the
good
world.
blackberries
Yeah.
all the way up in here. I was thinking that we should grab a couple.
So, and then further on from her, there's something different again. So the really big cow looking
Yeah.
at us,
Yeah,
she's a dairy cow
yeah,
that has come to the end of her productive life as a dairy cow.
yeah.
She just got a bit old,
Right.
and she didn't get in calf. So rather than selling her straight away, we've kept her.
You can't say that about humans, can you?
You probably should though. Put out to pasture. We
Out
just
to
put them out to
pasture.
pasture. Yeah.
That's why we have that expression,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So she's been put out to
So
pasture.
she's been put out to pasture,
Yeah.
which again is actually quite a good thing for her.
This is about 18 acres. It's a big old field.
This is quite a good place to be. But is she going to enjoy a long and happy life here, or is she going to be
She'll enjoy the rest of her life happily here.
the rest of her life?
It's at her good end.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we all need good ends, don't
we all end, and I think
Yeah.
this is a good end.
To end up in what looks like a kind of wood pasture landscape with fantastic species-rich grass and the views that we have at Mapperton in that direction isn't a bad way to go, is it?
No, and she'll be taken to the local slaughterhouse on her own,
Yeah,
rather than travelling cross-country or whatever,
yeah.
and then sold locally to the local people.
And enjoyed locally. You know, we could mix them with the white pot.
Yeah,
Maybe that wouldn't be a good idea.
no,
No, okay. Thanks, Tom.
no worries.
Today we are here at Curtly Farm, which is where we're doing all of our rewilding. So the white pot cattle are going to be coming here, as well as the Exmoor ponies and the Tamworth pigs. But today we're not talking about rewilding, but instead the animals that we already have here. So I've set out a camera trap about a week ago, down at the bottom there in a sort of brook, and I'm hoping to maybe find otter, mink, polecats, but to be honest, I don't really know. It's a bit of a walk on down, so why don't we get a move on? Okay, so we're just coming down to the bottom of Curtly now, and I can see Hook Park in front of me. This is where my camera trap should be, and there's a bit of a fence to get over, and then I'm going to go down a steep gully, and fingers crossed my camera trap will be right there in front of me. But we'll have to wait and see. So I'm at the bottom of Curtly now, and my camera trap should be here, but we've clearly come to the wrong place. And also the stream is a lot higher than when it was when I put it out, and my camera trap is pretty low, so it could have been washed away. I don't really know what to do other than keep on walking up this way, I think.
Right, I've now lost Nesta, and I'm trying to make it through this really quite steep and difficult area. You can see the stream running down at the bottom, which is carved through the rock over thousands of years. And hopefully somewhere down here is Nesta and his camera trap. I have to go up here. Nesta,
Yeah,
where are you?
we are officially lost in the woods.
Lost in the woods. Okay.
Oh.
Well, let's keep going.
Yeah. So below my feet here is a sort of deer highway. Here in Dorset, where we are, there are 3 different species of deer. We've got the roe deer, the fallow deer, and the very occasional muntjac deer. But as you can see, they literally, there's just a gap in the reeds. And and it's pretty impressive, to be honest. Camera trap should be a few 100 meters away still. At last we have found the camera trap. This is, it's been 5-10 minutes in the woods, but it does feel a lot longer. I'm very happy to have found it, but I'm even more excited to go and see what is on it. You can see the sort of area that we've chosen here. My idea was that this is a good point for deer, otter, minks to cross between the brook. And actually, I can see a lot of activity just here. A lot of deer prints.
What can we identify here?
Well, that's what I'm trying to have a quick look. So obviously we've got the deer over here, obvious by the split hooves.
The split hooves, but that looks like a row there because it's a very small print.
Yeah. What else can we see? I think an otter might not be big enough to make a imprint into this ground because it is actually pretty firm. So this is the first of my cameras that actually takes good quality videos and photos. So I'm quite excited for this one because some of this stuff might be able to go on a postcard, you know. But let's have a look. We've got a pheasant.
Pheasant?
Pheasant on our first one.
Okay, that's something.
This one, a pigeon.
Pigeon?
Yeah.
It's 2 species.
Oh, a deer on this one.
What kind of deer?
A fallow, a roe because it's got a white bottom.
A roe with a white bottom. Well, that could be roe hair that we found, and also we've just seen roe prints.
Yeah. There's a mink or a otter. I'm not really sure.
No way.
Wow. That is so exciting. Because I've never actually seen these before. I don't really know what to say.
Let's go back and look on the computer.
Yeah, let's do that. Right, so I'm now back in the Maplin Kitchen, and it is a few months later, as I haven't really had a chance to actually look over the footage from here. But the last I recall, we were lost in the woods with the camera trap. But now we are back in the warmth of the kitchen, and we are going to have a look at some of this footage. So this is the one that was out on the tree in front of the stream, I believe that's correct, which was at the bottom of Curtly Farm. So that is where we've started our rewilding project. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how this footage is going to compare to footage in the next 5 or 10 years after the rewilding project has really got on of it. So this is sort of a bit like a baseline survey, I guess.
So,
yeah.
So what have you got there?
First one was a bit of a dud.
Oh dear.
Second one as well.
What, dud?
A dud.
Nothing.
Oh, we have a deer on the third one.
Deer? What type of deer?
I'm just looking back. Here we go. It's got a white rump with a sort of black outline, which indicates
like
a fallow.
Fallow.
So a black and white tail is always a good sign if it's a fallow. And this was back in February, is that right?
Yeah, February.
Which means they do not have their new spots on their coat as well. So that's another good way to tell. Oh, the next one we have 1, 2, 3, 4 deer. We have 4 deer. They're sort of running about, looking around.
You chose quite a good spot for that camera trap.
It's good because it's got the stream, so obviously they have to come there to drink, and it's also quite fun to watch them jump over the stream as well. And yeah, it's quite open as well. And also we did find a few deer paths there as well, so we knew that they would be around. So we had 4 fallow. Oh. Now we've got a grey squirrel who's digging in the sand.
Digging in the sand because we saw some holes.
We did, yeah. He's going to be the culprit. Stashing his nuts or
stashing his acorns.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
The next one. Oh, and we have a pigeon.
Pigeon.
A big plump pigeon, and another deer.
Another deer. Yeah. God, this is more. I think this is more than we've ever had on any camera trap.
Yeah, it just jumped across the river, and again you can see the black tail, well, the black and white tail, and the white rump. And now we have 1, 2 deer. One's standing right in front of the camera. So 7:45, it would have been pitch black in February. And again, there's a lot of them just going around. It's so fun just watching them. Here it is. I think this is the mink. So mink, it's got a darker tail, which this definitely does. It's sort of this sort of size, so not as big as an otter, so that looks about right. Doesn't have many patterns on it, and mink tend to be sort of black or dark grey in colour, whereas a pine marten is, it's ginger and then a sort of white neck, and that is not, you can't see that at all here. A polecat's also got white markings on its face, and I can't see that here. And then an otter, this is too small, I think.
We don't want mink, do we? No.
So mink are actually an invasive species from America, and they're having a lot of bad effects on species, in particular the water vole, because the eating them, and also the eating their prey, because they live in the same sort of habitat as the water vole, eating fish and things, so just on the streams. Well, I definitely say that was one of the better camera traps. In fact, it might even be the top. We have had hares and foxes in the past. However, we've never had a mink or a grey wagtail or that amount of deer. So that was definitely a big success. However, next we are moving on to bats. So I have a little kit here which essentially is able to detect, so it's got a high frequency microphone, and then that paired with a sheet which we've printed off of the sort of different frequencies that the bats call at. So if I were to set it to 45 kilohertz, which is a common pipistrelle, then after I would try and point it around, perhaps at some insects, and then after, if I heard anything, then I'd know that there was a common pipistrelle there.
So just so I understand, that detector has a microphone.
Yeah.
It picks up the ultrasonic sound from the bat, and then it does something to it, so it makes it audible. Is that right?
Exactly.
So you can then tell that there is a bat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't hear it because the frequency is just too high.
Exactly. Yeah. And so bats call in high frequencies, sort of like a radar. So they will, so they'll make these sounds, and then after they will. And then after they'll rebound off insects into the sort of big ears. So you can see here we've got a brown long-eared bat, and that's just able to take in the sound, and then after, so it's echolocation because their eyes aren't very good.
And what are we hoping to find at Mapperton? And do we know whether we have bats here?
We definitely have bats. We've seen them. So the two big pools that we have down there are quite good for Dorbortons because what they'll do is they'll eat off the surface, so they'll come down and swoop by the water and just, tuck the mouth. Well, they'll just touch the water with their mouth and take an insect off. But I think the thing that we're hoping for the most is a lesser horseshoe, as word has it that they are living in our boiler room, just at the top of the garden. However, they call it a frequency of 110, and I'm hoping that this microphone is able to go that high, but
so
I'd be surprised.
You better build your kit.
Alright, so I've just finished building it. It's essentially just got a microphone at the top, so I have to point to where I think bats might be, and then after I've got the volume here, so I can turn it up and the speakers here, and then after I set the kilohertz to the sound that I think the bats are going to make. So for example, if I'm trying to hear Audibentons, I have to set it to 45 to 50 on this. However, we have found a little bit of an issue, which is that it doesn't say what kilohertz it is, so we'll have to try and make that work. But then we do also have a description of how the sounds are. So for example, the noctule is a chip-chop sound, and the common pipistrelle is a fast and irregular wet slap, and then also we have the areas where they like to be. So the Dorbentons will like to be by the water, so our pools are perfect for that. So then if we hear a sound over there, we can probably assume it's going to be a Dorbentons. So just before we go and use our microphone in order to try and hear the bats, we're actually going to have a quick look in the boiler room to see if we can find some lesser horseshoe bats which have been seen there before. And these bats, they used to live in caves, but now they are not commonly found, they're very rare actually, but they're found in big old houses, for example Mapperton. So let's go see if we can find them. Oh wow, we've got, looks like 3 swallows. It's incredible. Now you can see the nests all along here, and they look to be quite young, or perhaps that's the mother. Oh, there's 4 of them now. Yeah, I won't shine my light there for much longer because I don't want to. Oh, there's 5 actually. Wow. I did not expect to see that. Not looking like there's much. I think perhaps we should have come here during the daytime, as by now they probably would have left out through the windows off hunting for insects and whatnot. So over here we have a very large pile of bat droppings, sort of small tube-shaped droppings, and I mean it's just everywhere.
All right, well we better go and get the bat detector.
Yes, so I'd like to go down to the pools and hopefully we might see and hear some Dorbentons. I think, as I said earlier, they hunt off the water, so this should be a pretty good spot for them.
It's actually almost pitch black, but the camera has a very fast lens, so it can operate in very low light.
So, as the bats are echolocating for insects, so that's when they release a very high-pitched sound, and then after it bounces back off the insects into their ears, and so then they're able to find their prey. This should be able to hear that sound because it's got a very high-frequency microphone, and then after it's able to sort of translate that sound into a lower frequency, which then means that we can hear. And I've just heard the first bat just before I started talking. And oh, there we have a bat. There. There we go. That was our first bat. Oh, it's coming back. There we go. A machine gun-like sound. Yeah. I'd say that is what we heard.
Oh, I heard it again.
Yeah.
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah. A machine gun sound is definitely what we heard, I think. Not a wet slap, sort of an irregular wet slap like a pipistrelle might do. I'm so glad that they're here. I mean, I thought this would be a good spot for them.
We can see some of the insects as you shine your torch.
Yeah, exactly.
The insects.
This is exactly what they're hunting for. I'm going to change the frequency it's listening for. Oh, there we go. You see it?
I think we saw it. I think that's been an extraordinary success. Much more than I expected.
Definitely.
So they're coming down, they're skimming the pond to get a drink of water?
Yeah.
Or they're picking off insects, or both?
Exactly. One or the other.
One or the other.
Probably both. It's amazing. So cool actually being able to hear them. Definitely, it's definitely a pipistrelle because they're irregular, and also just by how they're flying. And so we're still at the same pool, but it's about 10 minutes later. And just those 10 minutes has made the whole difference. We have 3 pipistrelles flying above us all around. You can hear them on the thing and also probably see them as well. Like, just listen. It's the sort of irregular sort of slaps which define the pipistrelle, but also just by seeing them fly. So a noctule, for example, it sort of soars in the air because it's quite big. It doesn't fly sort of like a swallow, just crazy and just completely all about, but also the height it flies at. So a noctule will fly at sort of maybe 30, 40 feet, whereas a pipistrelle, it only flies at about 10 feet. So that's another good way of telling. It's just incredible to hear them, to actually know what they're really doing, rather than just seeing them fly about. It adds a whole nother element to these bats. I'd definitely recommend getting one of these and just heading out and just having a listen. So I'm now just in the courtyard. I've just come back up from the pools down there and just thinking about how much of a success that was. There were at least 2 different species, including the Derwentons, which is quite rare. I did think that they might be there. I thought it was a pretty good place for them, but I would not expect to see them in that sort of in those numbers. And then also the pipistrelles above. And I've actually still got the bat detector on here because I'm sort of hoping we may see a noctule, as this is quite a good spot just at the rooftops here. And so I've still got the bat detector on and I'm still listening out, and I might be here all night. It was so much fun. But thank you all for watching this episode. I've really enjoyed it. This has been it's been a huge surprise. Obviously I knew that there were bats here, but we had probably 3 or 4 or 5 above us swirling around. It was just incredible.
Welcome everybody. We are at the top of Marsh Farm, and this is a little sequence that I've been wanting to do for some time. We've got Tom Gregory, who you've all met before, and Tom and I are here almost at a crossroads, aren't we? It's a physical crossroads, but Tom is also at a figurative crossroads in his farming because he is going regen, which is a super cool thing to do. What does it mean, Tom?
I think what does it mean to us, or what does it mean to you, is a great question. And what it means to us is just tweaking what we're doing to make sure that the way we're farming, the way we're producing food, is having human health benefits, environmental health benefits, whilst farming sustainably, meaning that we can carry on farming, creating a bit of profit. And
I know much less about regenerative farming than Tom does, but I know a couple of things. And one is that regen is really about the soil, isn't it? It's about keeping this stuff healthy, because we all kind of forget that everything in our lives pretty much has come from there. And yet, Tom, what's your view of what intensive farming has been doing to this valuable stuff beneath our feet?
There's been some really great research and studies, and some post-Second World War farming techniques have looked at heavy tillage and chemical use.
Heavy tillage meaning lots of ploughing?
Lots of ploughing, or soil moving, turning of soil,
moving,
breaking of soil structure and turning of soil structure, and chemical use to improve quantity of yields.
So we're putting more chemicals in, and we're turning the soil around more in order to get more yields, which means more crop, which means more profit.
Or food.
And more food.
So more food was really important post-Second World War because there was no food.
True.
So everyone was encouraged to produce more food. And they were like, we found a great way of producing more food. Let's turn over the soil, cover it with chemicals, and off we go.
But now that we're much more conscious of these things, you've been farming in a particular way for the last few years. And you have an expression for what you think intensive agriculture has been doing to the soil, don't you?
Soil mining.
Soil mining, which I think sort of captures it. You know, you're taking out, but you're not putting back.
Correct.
So what do we need to put back, and why do we need to put it back?
So we need to put back organic matter in the form of plant residue, roots, or manure, farmyard manure, or a combination of all three.
Not chemicals.
No, not
natural stuff.
Natural
that
stuff.
breaks down, becomes organic matter, and does another critical thing, which is stores carbon. So it feels like we're kind of at the cusp of a big shift in farming, and you and Sophie are, I suppose, typical of a new generation of farmers who are kind of thinking differently. Now, how does this go down with the old school?
Confusion.
Because
unfortunately, even people like my father's generation were taught cultivation and tillage and chemical farming, and so they are still on the mindset really that, you know, why are you changing what you're doing? There's nothing wrong with what we were doing.
You should be soil mining.
Yeah, you should be soil mining.
You took over about 4 years ago?
4 years ago, yeah.
What was the quality of the soil like up here? Did you get what you'd bargained for?
No, we didn't grow any grass.
Nothing didn't work?
Well, it just didn't really, it didn't do a lot.
So the soil here had been mined of its nutrients?
Yeah. It
mined of the good stuff and compacted, probably?
Yeah.
Quite compacted?
Quite compacted.
What you're trying to do here is to restore that soil health so that in a sustainable way for the long term, you can put different crops in here and generate feed for your animals. Let's go have a look. What's this got in it then, Tom?
So this has got a combination of turnips and forage rape.
Turnips and forage, which are the turnips?
I don't actually know.
He doesn't know.
I have no idea.
Oh, you must know whether this is a turnip.
I don't know. There's two plants growing. One is a turnip and one isn't.
That doesn't taste very turnipy to me.
No.
Let's try this one. It's quite good though.
It's not bad,
you know
is
what?
it?
If I had that in my salad,
you wouldn't moan, would you?
I wouldn't moan
Maybe
at all.
Send the chefs up here.
I mean, look at this. Mapperton Cafe could just.
Yeah.
Try that one. That one's not bad either. Prefer the first one.
Yeah.
So let's have a look in here. Right.
Hit some.
One of the things I know about soil is that if you find a worm, that's a really good sign.
You're putting me under pressure now, aren't you?
Do you think we're going to find a worm?
I hope so.
I mean, you've only been doing this though, Tom, for a year or so. So there's a limit to what we can have done to the soil in that time. But oh my goodness, look at this.
Yeah.
Look what we got straight away.
And another one here.
There he is. You know, these are signs.
And can you see the fungal network in here? That's
So
not.
these-
That's a root, but in the real fine hairs.
The fine hairs are the mycorrhizal fungi.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So the roots are going down into the ground, and they're looking for the nutrients within the soil to drag back up through the plant to grow the plant's leaves, and to help the plant roots find the nutrients they need, the mycorrhizal fungi.
Which are fungi. They're very thin.
That's right.
Thin fungi, which we can almost
We
see
can just about
here.
see a couple.
They're sort of very thin hair-like things.
They're spread around the soil, and they're helping as nearly like root extensions. That'd be a good term. Root extensions.
Well, so this is a hairdressing analogy.
Yeah. Hair extensions, allowing the roots to look further afield. The mycorrhizal fungi is basically looking for the plant.
And is it then communicating back to the root of the plant? Is it exchanging nutrients?
I think it's that the microbial fungi are helping the roots locate, or actually transporting back to the root area the nutrients, allowing the roots to take up.
So they're sort of critical messengers stroke transporters. They're like kind of the Deliveroo of the subsurface.
Yeah. But when we dug down, I had to put a bit of effort because it's quite dry and there is some flint. But it's important to note how much effort we had to put in to dig this hole. It wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too bad, was it? I mean, if it had been drier, it might have been harder.
And what we've got here is some good loose
soil with worms.
With worms.
Look at that.
And roots.
And more worms.
It seems to be working.
Ultimately, what we're trying to do is get not just healthier soil, but also healthier food into our bodies.
Correct.
So that we will live longer and happier. So I quite want to go at digging. Should we go look at another field?
Yeah, so what we're going to do next door is we'll go next door and see how much difference there is next door. And
So that I reckon that gets sort of a B+, that soil, doesn't it?
I would like to think so. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, well done.
Especially from what it was.
Yeah.
And hopefully next door won't be quite so easy. In a good way and a bad way.
So Tom, this field looks rather different. What's going on?
So this field, traditionally, because it's the field closest to the road, has had all the traffic to get to the other fields.
Oh, I see.
So what we think we've got in here is quite a large amount of compaction.
So compaction is when the soil has been pressed down so hard that it's like concrete.
Yeah.
Kind of. A bit better than concrete.
Yeah, but a little bit better, but not much.
Not much.
And we're seeing, we think that's the case from what we're seeing growth rates and soil health wise in this field.
So what crop have you put in here to try and get something out of it?
So this was no-till. This was a no-till experiment.
Right.
We
so
waited.
Not min-till.
Not min-till, no-till.
No-till, okay. So you drilled
the
peas and barley in here, and did it come up?
No.
No.
Not really.
So there's nice peas and barley seed sort of stuck in there.
Yeah, I think it's died now. It's pretty rubbish.
So you're thinking that if I try to dig in here, I'm going to have a problem.
You should be harder than next door.
Should be harder than next door. So I'm going to give this a go. And well, I've instantly hit a stone.
Yeah.
This is your spade, isn't it? Because I don't want to. Oh, it's Zippy.
No, it's Zippy's. It's the gamekeeper's.
Break it,
yeah, I've got to buy him another one. I had to buy him this one.
You've already broken one before.
Yeah, this is the second one we all broke.
This just isn't going in anywhere. And that's the compaction?
That's the compaction, yeah.
Because we're just 50 yards from where we were.
Yeah.
And we can't get in at all. Come on, let's get in a little bit. Just a little tiny. Right, okay, I got a bit of soil.
Yeah.
But look, if you look at this soil, and it's worth coming in to see, you know, compared to the lovely, healthy colours that we had before. And
it's a lot lighter, isn't it?
Well, but also look at that. That's sort of hard, like clay, isn't it? It's not really soil.
So we've got some work to do in here.
So what's the plan? What can we do?
So I think what we'll do.
Surely you need to really plough this up first.
So what we did in there wasn't ploughing, it was subsoiling.
Yeah.
So what we did is we put some legs that went 18 inches down into the soil with feet along the bottom, and they just lifted.
Yeah.
So we didn't turn anything,
right.
We just lightly lifted everything.
Yeah.
Which is why we can dig a spade in there quite happily.
And you can't hear.
And we can't in here.
This experiment didn't work, but it told you something.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tom, thank you very much. I think we've got lots of interesting things to see happening here over the next few years. But once again, I am quite envious of the cows munching away in that field because it really tasted good. And I think we're going to take a bit back for the cafe.
Hi everybody, I'm here with, of course, the most glamorous farmer in the whole wide world, Sophie, who many of you have seen before. You really are the most glamorous. They are. But enough of that. So Sophie is, she farms here at Mapperton. Explain to everybody just a recap of what your herd do here.
So behind us we've got these cows here are what we call our replacements. So they're the ones that are coming into the herd in the spring, and they're living out here in the winter. We call this outwintering. So they're on what you will see in a minute, some kale, turnips, which we sowed this year, and then they're moved daily with some silage, and they'll stay out all season. And it's just, we find it better for the cows.
It's amazing though, as I was walking up here, because there's just like kale and turnips.
Yeah, it's a really varied diet.
Can I eat it?
Yeah, you can have. Yeah. The turnips. I mean, we spend a lot.
Okay.
Every time we come, there's
go.
a turnip eating.
Okay, this one looks really good. Oh my goodness! I mean, I want to be a cow to eat the turnips. I mean, these are amazing. Oh my gosh, I haven't had breakfast, so I'm super
good,
happy.
aren't they?
Yeah, that one's like jealous. Look at
that one. Look.
So this is what they feed off of.
Yeah, and it's a great varied diet for them. So they've got that, the kale, and then baled silage as well, which if they don't eat, we then chuck around for them and they lie on it, and then anything left will go back into the ground.
All right, so what are we doing today? Because as I eat this, they're coming a little bit closer.
Yeah.
And my fear of cows is starting to bubble up.
So we're gonna at the moment Tom is setting up the water for them. So we move the water trough with them. They're really good, aren't they?
Yeah.
And we're then gonna set up some fences. At the moment the children are opening up the silage bales. So that will be their next break. So I'm actually gonna set up for 2 days today.
Okay. So you're gonna help me though.
Yeah. So we're gonna set up an electric fence.
Okay.
We're gonna get the bales flipped over, and then a big ring feed around them to stop them sort of putting it all out of the place.
Okay.
And then we'll let them through onto their new patch. So hopefully they'll be happy with that. But they are, you know, at this moment in time, they're probably 400 kilos. So yeah, so they're not as big as Albie. So Albie would be a ton.
What can I do?
So we need to set up, so we need to get the fencing stakes and the reel. So we'll go and pick up the quad bike and then go and pick up the stakes and the reel, and then we're going to put a new one exactly like this just further down.
Okay.
Is that okay?
And then we're going to release the hounds.
Yeah, we're going to release them, but I'll let you stand back because I know that you're not particularly keen on them. Right, you're going to drive, Julie.
What?
So jump on here.
So
wait, legs over, straddle.
Oh,
you're going to drive it.
I sit on this?
Yeah, sit on that. Yeah.
Okay.
So then turn the key there.
Okay.
And then
what?
Then this button here.
This one?
Yeah. So that's on now. And then the left is the gears, so you need to flick your foot up underneath the left thing. You see
This
there?
thing? This thing?
That thing, yeah, up. Underneath it. Click it up.
Yeah, got it up.
Now in gear 1.
Okay.
And then just, I think the brake's on, so to release the brake you have to do that. And then just, this is the accelerator.
This
so
one?
Yeah, just slowly.
Watch out, Stephen and Claire. Oh my God.
Okay,
No.
I'm going to hold on.
Okay,
Right.
Okay, where am I going?
So we're going to go round then, basically, round Claire, and then back to where they are, okay?
Okay.
Then you might have to go up into gear 2.
Oh my God.
Now turn left.
Okay.
Round, yeah, and head towards your husband.
Okay, I'm gonna like
Preferably run him over.
Exactly. He always puts my life in danger. So now I'm gonna.
So keep going.
Watch out! Crazy lady on the loose. Crazy lady on a quad bike.
Head towards those stakes there, those
Okay.
white things, and we're gonna pick them up.
Okay. I am rubbish at this.
Yeah. There we go. And now we're gonna load these up.
Then do I put a brake on?
Yep. So you put the brake on.
Do I look loud? I feel like I should go like this, Sophie. Just like a little bit here,
Yeah.
a little bit there. Oh my God, it's
Moisturizer.
poo!
It is poo, yeah.
Oh my God, I just put poo on my face.
Yeah.
Sophie,
I'm not having any, thank you. Got enough.
I literally smell like poo right now. I thought that this
I
was
can't
just.
smell you, I'm so used to it.
I thought that was mud. I was trying to be like, you know, super farmerish.
Yeah. You put cow poo on your face.
I put cow poo on my face. Stephen, is it on my face? You can't barely. Okay.
We can change that.
Okay, fine. Yeah. All right. So now
So we've
I'm
got
just
these
sitting
on
here
here.
being so lazy. Yeah.
These are fencing stakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to just get the reel as well.
Okay. I literally just put poo on my face. Love
And
it.
this is going to hook on here,
Okay.
and then we're going to take them back to where we were. You okay with that? You happy to drive?
Yeah. I'm happy to
Okay.
drive.
So turn it back on. You might have to reverse a bit because I think we might run over Claire and Stephen otherwise.
Okay. So turn it on.
Flip,
Yeah.
Turn on.
That's on.
And then, and then press that one there below.
This one.
Yeah, and then you have to stamp it back into reverse.
So-
Stamp that left foot down.
Oh,
like
stamp
down,
it.
Yeah. And it should come down to 0.
Okay.
I'm having a bit of problem getting in reverse. Shake the whole bike. Okay.
What?
Just shake the bike. We're having a bit of a dodgy Honda.
Okay. Oh.
It's not really doing anything now.
Oh wait, there we go.
Oh yeah, we got it. We got it. Yeah, we're
Okay,
in
okay,
reverse
got it,
now.
got it,
There
got
you
it.
go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so now you can press that one.
Okay. So of course.
I'm going on this side, this
okay.
one.
Okay, pressed it.
Yeah, and now we need to go into reverse.
Okay,
so
okay,
we're going to
okay.
stamp it down, and then there we go.
Okay.
We're in reverse now.
Okay, which
Yeah.
one was gas?
That
this
one there. But
This one.
Oh!
Sorry. Jesus. Oh my God. Sorry. Sorry. I nearly.
Right, so
nearly
now we need
killed
to get out
Sophie.
of
Great.
reverse.
Uh-huh.
Up.
Hold on tight.
Yeah.
Woo!
So we're going to go
Up
go
here?
right to the other end of the field. Look what a good job they're doing.
They're so good. I'm here with Evie and with Harry, and they're amazing helpers. But you're pretty much farmers. You're junior farmers,
Yeah.
right? I mean, they are. So they're not even helpers. Let's give them the right term. You guys are junior farmers, right?
Yeah.
You do know quite a lot.
Yeah.
So you're done with school,
Yeah.
luckily, and you get to come out to the fields.
Yeah.
And on a scale of, and by the way, do you eat the turnips here?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're so delicious, aren't they?
Yeah.
So delicious. All right, so what are you two going to teach me right now? Because I don't know anything.
How to open a bale.
How to open a bale.
First you have to take off the plastic.
Okay, what's the next thing now?
So you cut these, but you leave one of them.
Okay.
So when you push it over, it doesn't all fall apart.
Okay, you do that, you do that.
So
Okay.
you have to rock it.
Okay. Oh my God. You guys do, okay, ready? You guys do that by yourself?
Yeah. Well, together.
But I know it's together. Wait, they seem to be coming over here. What's happening?
They're going.
They're jumping the fence, everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Cows are coming in right now, and they're not supposed to. I mean, they can, but like, and they're like behind me. So I'm just gonna, there's a fence here that I don't even know if it's switched on, I don't really care, but obviously they can jump this fence too. But I'm gonna get over. I feel that they can actually smell, see? They can smell my fear. That's why they're coming towards me. I'm good now, I'm getting over this fence.